morning. Last night we got a pretty wicked freeze. Had a few accidents close to home here, so we're not getting started too early this morning hauling. Let the roads get salted and cindered, taken care of before we really start doing anything. But we are finally getting back on the road. We've got to finish cleaning that bin out and then get switched over, and then we'll run probably all night. The ethanol plant's open until about 8 p.m. Try and get as much in as we can today and then try to finish our contracts tomorrow. And then we're on to beans. And we don't have much beans sold, so that shouldn't take us too long, and realistically we should easily get done. Oh, I hate getting in and out of this bin. Well, we were loaded down, ready to head to the ethanol plant, but we're gonna stick around and get the bin cleaned out for Dad. That's not working very well. Oh, that sucked. officially set up to that drying bin, be able to run the rest of the day without climbing in. So that's a good thing. I think we are about the last truck to enter in this place. It is about 8 o'clock. They close at 8, so it is definitely nice that they are open this late because we got a lot done today. We only need 2 more baby trucks to finish up the contracts coming here, and then the rest is going to Cargill. And unfortunately, it seems like their lineups have been about an hour and a half, so that's gonna slow us down to a crawl. But we got about 2 weeks left to get this done, which should be gobs of time. Well, I sat there on the scale unusually long. I had to hit the call button just to get somebody to print me up a ticket. Must have been getting ready to leave and just forgot I was there. So anyway, we are headed home now. Actually, no, we're not. We're headed back to the bin. We're gonna go ahead and load this truck up and bring it home for Monday, so that we can just start hauling straight into Cargill. The farm that we're on now has got 2 bean bins up there as well. We'll go ahead and finish this corn bin, go ahead and just clean out the beans, and then that way everything is all at home, and it's just a lot easier, a lot nicer. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever time it is, whoever's watching. We haven't really taken video in a few days. The weather took a turn for the worst, and I haven't even been here. Obviously Christmas and everything happened, and we kind of just had quite a few days where we couldn't really do anything. Everything was closed, and now we've got this white stuff all over the ground that we don't really want, but it's here. Hello. So today we are going to be hauling out of the wet holding bin here. We loaded the trucks down last night. We just had to set our little auger up to the bottom of the wet holding bin there. Then we set our electric auger up out of that boot. And we're loading into the trucks, because we couldn't hold it all in our storage, so we left a little bit in the wet holding bin. We're getting that taken care of. We've got some beans left up at the farm north, and then that side will be done, and then all we've got is these 3 bins here, and we should be done with the old grain. The rest of it had to go to town. We didn't have enough storage, so I guess we do have the beans. We should have a light January. It'll just be a matter of kind of moving snow and possibly even break into some projects again. We're hoping to get Dad's car done this winter. He's got a 74 Charger that he had when he was a kid. We're hoping to get that done because we would like to take it to some shows. We'll see what happens today. We're gonna be going up after we get this wet holding bin empty. There should just be another load in there. We'll get this wet holding bin empty, head on up north, start loading beans. Try and get as many as we can today. Don't know how bad the lineups are going to be. It is the last week of December. Hopefully everybody's pretty much done with their contracts to where we won't have a line, but it's either that or nobody's got their contracts done. The weather's been crap. It's after Christmas, and everybody and their brother's going to be there, and it's going to be 3-hour line. It's going to be one of the two, so we'll see. So this time of year, obviously, it's typically pretty cold, snow on the ground. Nobody wants to be here. Nobody wants to be here, but we got grain to haul. Typically, there's a lot of paperwork going on. We've usually got everything figured out as far as next year's crop on, like fertilizer, ammonia. Obviously, we put that on this fall, so that's already all paid for. Seeds typically already done. We haven't sat down and figured chemical yet, so that's something that we'll have to do. We're typically just paperwork, making sure we know what we got to have for next year. Taxes, we got to get ready for taxes. We got to send the bank some financial statements, let them know that we're not totally broke, that kind of thing, so that they'll lend us money for next year. It's just a lot of paperwork and working in the cold, and We don't like those things, but they've got to be done. Couple trucks, no line at all. That's a good thing. We should get a lot hauled, be able to finish our contracts, hopefully early in the week. That way I can have some time off. Get some work done around the house. Snow is bright. Getting this truck backed in here could be a challenge. We'll see. Kind of got to snake around backing up here to be able to get underneath this auger the right way, and hopefully I don't get stuck. Wow, it is cold. Lost my gloves too. It's never a good thing. I need to get like a camera mounted on the top of the cab here that looks back over the trailer. That way I don't gotta get out and make sure I'm not spilling any. I can just sit here nice and cozy in the cab. Maybe like just my phone here, just turn sideways on an app or something. They can see what's going on in the trailer. I would just sit in the tractor, but the way I'm facing with the auger, the tarp's in the way, so I can't see the pile of beans, so it just doesn't work out. You know, I'm sitting here thinking about how cold it is. A few days ago, we had blizzard-like conditions, snow blowing everywhere, 50-mile-an-hour winds, and a -30 wind chill. It's like a 20-minute frostbite or something like that. So needless to say, nobody went outside. We weren't working on the farm. I stayed in the house. The day before this blizzard was going to happen, my wife wakes me up and says, I smell gas. So, of course, that has to be fixed immediately so that we can have heat throughout this -30 wind chill, like -15. So I have to take my child to daycare immediately because my wife is headed to work. I had to call our gas supplier, get them over there to help me find the leak. Turns out I need a water heater because the pilot, one of the valves was leaking or something on the pilot. I really didn't feel like changing the pilot out. I've done that before. It's just annoying. And our water heater was already like 30 years old, so I just went, got a new water heater, placed all the gas lines, the water lines, which this house is old enough, everything was copper. Didn't know how to sweat copper. Turns out it's extremely easy, but so I called my dad. He came out and helped me with it. It's literally just soldering with a blowtorch. Super simple. You just look it up on YouTube, how to sweat copper. Why not just call it soldering copper? And then I would have been like, yeah, I can do that. Anyway, got that taken care of, but we withstood the -30-degree days, and I'm here now. It's pretty cold. It's like 20, 15, 20. But tomorrow it's supposed to be 60. Living in Illinois is like, between the taxes, the weather, and now the land values and things like that, it's like, it just makes you wonder whether or not to just sell everything and just move somewhere else. Quite a few things are selling like $19,000. These landlords are expecting $550 in rent for their 4% return, 3% return. It's like, I mean, something that expensive, my God, you would need $700-800 in rent for a good return. I just don't know why people are doing it. I really don't. It's like they see this $7 corn or $6.50 corn and $14 beans, and they think, oh, that checks out. On paper, that checks out. I'll buy this piece of ground for $18,000. Got $7 corn, $15 beans. Do they not sit back and think that, okay, when has corn and beans ever stayed a steady price that high, especially in anyone's lifetime? Never. Do they think that $7 is, or even $6 is the new low? $13.50, $14 is the new low on beans. It doesn't even paper out with $6 corn and $14 beans, I don't think. I mean, it's just, especially with the interest rates right now, people are still buying ground. But, I don't know what's going on. I was wanting to buy my own ground soon, but it's just, it's financial suicide for someone to start buying ground. If you have ground behind you and cash flow, sure, you might be able to make it work, but my lord, for somebody to just start buying ground at 16, even if it was 15,000 an acre, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe corn will stay $7, beans will be 15 for the next 10 years, and I should have been buying ground because it'll be 35,000 an acre then. How the cold weather went off in that tangent, I don't know, but Illinois just annoys me sometimes. And going from negative 30 to 60 degrees in like 4 days is one of those pet peeves of mine. Just stop. Stop it. There's no reason for that. These cow farts on these farms, they're putting 60-degree days in my December. Another day, another truckload. Well, we made it back from the elevator, and unfortunately, the river is frozen, and they can't get a barge in there. So they're getting full on beans, and I just got a text saying that they're not going to be taking beans for the rest of the week. Thankfully, the guy there said, okay, it'll be on a truck-by-truck basis. Hopefully we can just get it finished anyway. And he'll let us just bring beans in, and he'll just shut off everybody but the locals here. We're hoping, because we've only got about, I don't know, probably 3,000 bushel left to go. Not much at all. But for now, I'm gonna go ahead and load this truck. Hope they take it. If they don't, I gotta take it somewhere else and just spot them in, which isn't a big deal. We're gonna have to spot some in anyway. What I mean by spot in is just sell them to somebody not on a contract, so I would just get today's price for the beans. Not a big deal. I may have to get the sweep out to finish loading this truck. The sweep doesn't stay in there. We take it out every year. So I'll have to open the doors up, grab the sweep out of the shed, put it in there, plug it in, and it ain't a power sweep. It's a little guy. These government bins really aren't that bad to clean out though. It's not a big area. Well, we didn't even have to open the side slide. So on these bins, obviously, there's a withdrawal, just like this auger. There's flighting underneath the floor there, and then you basically just have sumps in the bin. So in the center, you've got a slide that once you pull it out, the grain starts dumping in there, and then that flighting, when you turn that withdrawal on, that flighting starts spinning, pushes the grain out of the bin. Well, there's also typically 2 or 3 side slides. So you've got the center one, and then you've got 2 closer to the door. And the reason for that is so that you can open the door. You open those side slides, and it starts caving and gets the grain, corn or beans, whatever it is, gets the grain away from the door. That way you can open the door, step in, put your sweep in, or turn your sweep on. If you leave the sweep in the bin, you want to leave that sweep on top of those side slides or close to those side slides so that when you do open those, it uncovers your sweep. You can start it, no problems, doesn't overload it. So the way that they build these grain bins is they pour the pad here, it's a concrete pad, and then they'll start with like your roof, the top rings, and they'll just jack them up as you go and just keep putting rings onto this steel sheeting. And then they'll put a floor in, but the floor is actually a false floor. It sits up about, a foot, 2 feet, so that withdrawal can sit underneath it. And then you got your sumps put in, stuff like that, so that you can run the grain out from underneath all the other grain out of the bin. There were bins made well before that didn't have withdrawals and things like that, and you had to have a vacuum that sucked all the grain out and then shot it out onto whatever you're loading it into, whether it be a truck or a tandem, whatever, cart. Really not much to them. Anyway, we didn't have to open the slides, so or put the sweep in, so I'm gonna go ahead and stick around here, wait for my dad to get back. That way he doesn't have to do that alone. That sweep is kind of heavy, and it's just awkward to get in the bin. That's how you build a bin door. I can practically stand up and just slide right in there. Or maybe it is on. Huh. Uh-oh. Oh, don't tell me another motor's bad on a sweep. Might as well shut all this down until we figure out what's going on. Well, before we say that it's probably just the motor on that sweep, I'm gonna walk over and get something to plug into that drop cord. Make sure there is power getting over there. That way we know that it's not on that side and it definitely is that motor on that sweep.
Yeah, this cord's kind of busted up. Is that...
Well, it's not the drop cord or the power, which means it's that motor. You want me to grab a screwdriver and pop that open? Check the wiring on it?
It says the switch.
Well, if that's the case, we could just bypass that switch. Well, that was an easy fix. Turns out it was that switch. He just kind of finagled it back and forth probably 1,000 times and it just decided to work. So I can put this screwdriver away. We don't gotta mess with any wiring. So anyway, we got the sweep in there now. And all that does is it really sweeps the floor of the bin for you. So we've got a series of 3 augers just to get it into the truck. You've got the sweep bringing it out from the walls and off the floor into the middle sump. The withdrawal is another auger that sends it out into, or out into this boot. And then we've got the other auger putting it up into the truck. Dad is loaded down, ready to go. We're both gonna make it back, and then what's left in that bin will go back on the trucks. So we'll be able to get that cleaned out, get the tractor and the auger moved over to the other bin, be ready for tomorrow. I'm ready to go home. It's too cold for this. Especially when it's supposed to be like 56 degrees tomorrow. Camera probably doesn't do that justice, but it's pretty sunset. Well, Dad and I got the bin cleaned out. We got switched over to the last bin that we got up there. Hopefully we can finish our contract tomorrow. We should get done. Well, it's a new day. It's actually the afternoon right now. Went ahead and got the wet holding bin all finished. We actually got a whole nother truckload out of there, which I wasn't expecting. I didn't want to bore you with any more grain hauling. This is the last of the trucks. Then we are done for December. January is not looking like we really got much to do. We may clean out our bean bins. That's really about it. I was gonna spot some in all the rest of my beans and the rest of my corn, but with the markets the way they are, I really don't know what to do. I don't know whether to hold all my grain, the rest of my grain hostage, or just get rid of it. I don't know. This is the best year of marketing that I've done, and it wasn't even conventional. I mean, the first 3 years that I've been farming, or first 2 years that I've been actually taking farm income, I did what anybody in their right mind would do as far as marketing, you know, forward pricing, things like that, and it has just been totally wrong because of COVID and all the other deals going on, the war. The markets have not been normal. I would have been, the last couple of years, I would have been better off never forward pricing, just taking it in whenever I wanted to, just waiting as long as I could, and I would have made a lot more money. That parking brake release, I completely tore my nail back. That didn't feel too good. Well, this is the last truck of our 60,000 we had to haul in. We are officially done as soon as this gets to town.